Inheritance. What is inheritance? So what is inheritance? What is inheritance? You have a genuine definition, no? Acquiring the properties of one class by another class is called inheritance. Okay. Now here, the concept of reusability is called inheritance. The same, the reusability means acquiring the properties of one class by another class is called inheritance. Now, what do you mean by this inheritance? What is the advantage of this? Boss, if you need some functionality, it is already defined in another class. Why you want to write it again? The functionalities, what you need, if they are already defined, why you want to rewrite it again? You can call the class, whatever the properties are defined in the class, you can use it. See, I need 4 functionalities. Already there is a class which has 3 of the functionalities similar to your requirement. Only for the sake of one function, why are you redefining the entire operation? Try to reuse the existing operation, and whatever the extra you need, you can define it. So we are trying to acquire the properties of one class into another class. We are trying to acquire the properties of one class into another class, which is called inheritance. Now the first question. What are the technical terms involved here? Virtual extents. Virtual extents. What do you mean by virtual? Now I want a properties of one class to be used in another class. Can I acquire the properties of every class? Which class properties can I acquire? I want to inherit. Which class properties you can inherit? Whose properties you can inherit? Which class properties you can inherit? So if I want to inherit any class which is defined as virtual, any class which is defined as virtual, this class can be inherited by another class. So what happened? I can say public extends. So what is a virtual? Any class which is defined as virtual, it can be inherited by another class. How the another class will inherit? By using a keyword called extends. Any class which is defined as virtual, that can be inherited by another class. How it is inherited? By using a keyword called extends. I hope you're good. Only virtual classes can be inherited, and the inheritance goes with the keyword called extends. Now the point is, how many types of inheritance you have? A is inherited by B. What is this called? So B extends multiple inheritance. This is multi-level inheritance. single inheritance, multi-level inheritance, multi-level inheritance, hybrid. Out of all these, Apex programming will support only single and multi-level inheritance. The types of inheritances are those, but what Salesforce Apex is going to support is only single and multi-level inheritance. Okay. So, what is the advantage of the inheritance? I told you, only virtual classes can be inherited. If you want to inherit, class extends another class. Right. Now let me. Yes, Amma.
So if you go to the code,
Tell me. What is your query? Okay. Now, let us move on to the point here. Now,
the one which you written by.
You have a question, ask it fast. Rest all the people are waiting for you. Right. Make it fast.
Yeah, hello. Yeah, so this actually my head connection is not good. So here you're extending the virtual keyword or you are extending the class.
If you allow me to complete, I'll show the example.
Top.
In between, if you interrupt and ask me the example, we cannot show it, right? Allow me to complete, I'll be showing one by one. Right?
No, I'm not asking for your example. Okay.
What's your query? Ask it fast.
Yeah. I saw you written the example class, right? So go to the. So in that class, you are extending the virtual keyword, instead of extending the class. Yeah, here. So public class demo extends virtual. So you need to extend the class or you need to extend the virtual.
Keyword you're asking. Okay. Right?
Okay, yeah.
Fine. Now, please allow me to complete when I do the examples, you understand it. Okay. Now, let us come back. Now, how we are going to define here? Look at the point, new Apex class. We are trying to give parent class. Now, I have a parent class here. I am trying to take one more child class. Now, child example extends parent example. Now, I have not defined the parent class as a virtual. I have not defined the parent class as a virtual. Then what is the, when I saved, I got an error message here. What is the error? Okay, what is the error here? Look at the point. Now the parent class is not virtual. Non-virtual or abstract type cannot be extended. If you want to extend it, the class has to be what? Virtual. The class has to be what? Virtual. Or at least it should be abstract class, which you don't require now. So class has to be virtual. So what I was giving? Virtual. When I define the class as the virtual class, public virtual class, now class extends. So any class which is defined as a virtual can be inherited by another class. How the other class is using? By a keyword called extends. Class extends another class which is virtual. Okay. When I define virtual, when I inherit, what is the advantage you are going to get? Public, integer. Let me make some global class to demonstrate all the variables. global integer, public integer. Now I have a class with all the data, okay, all the access modifiers. Now here, child class, public, eval equal to 10, eval equal to 20, eval equal to 30. So look at this. Did I define these variables in the child class? When I inherit, all the members of the parent class become a members of child class. I have not defined the variable of A, B, C in the child. I told extends the parent. So whatever the variables are, the methods are there in the parent, they also become a part of the child class. So now there is a reason straight away I am able to use A value equal to 10, B value equal to 20, C value equal to 30. So what is the C? Protected member. So when a class inherits another class, even the protected members can be accessed here. Now when I give private members, it throws error message. Now when a class inherits any other class, all the members of the parent class can be used in the child class except private members. When a class inherits another class, all the members of the parent class will come to the child class except private members. Okay. Except the private members. Now look at the format. I was creating an object. Look at this. Public. I give A value equal to 90. Just to understand which constructors will run. I am running trying to create an object for the child class. Then system.debug. Whose object is this? Object dot now C is a protected member. I cannot call the C directly. C is a protected member. C can be used in the class and the child class, but you cannot call them outside the class. C is a protected member. I can use in the parent class or the child class, but not outside the class. So this is not possible. Then execute. Now where is the value of A defined? In the parent class constructor. Where is the value of B is defined? In the child class constructor. Now what is happening? Parent class constructor will run followed by child class constructor. When class inherits another class, when we create object for the child class, first parent class constructor will run followed by child class constructor. First the parent class constructor will run followed by child class constructor. Whenever we create an object for the parent, for the child class, first the parent class constructor will run followed by child class constructor. Now let us see a quick example for you. So that's how I created. Now I was creating an object for the So I was creating an object for the child. Generally, when you create an object, what will happen? New. When I say new, memory is allocated. For whom the memory is allocated? New. First it says, because the class extends memory will be extended for A by C. Then the memory will be allocated for. So I'll try to change a couple of things here. There is a purpose of defining this. Right. Then memory is allocated for child class. Who are the child class members? Name. Like this, the memory is allocated. So memory is allocated for parent class members. Memory is allocated for child class members. Once this memory is allocated, then the constructor will run. Which constructor will run? Parent class constructor. In the parent class constructor, A value equal to 10. Then the child class members are running. When the child class members are running, what are the values we had? We are going to get name as Satish, 90. Now, who is this? This is referred as. So, when I create an object for the child, memory is allocated for parent class member, memory is allocated for child class members, and parent class constructor will run first, followed by child class constructor. Now, when I say C dot name, ready? When I say C dot B value, now when I am calling C dot B value, first it looks in the child object. Do you have any variable called B? Yes. There is a conflictor. In the parent we have a B, in the child also we have a B. When there is a conflictor, when I am calling with the child class member will be called. Who is the child class member? 90. Now when I call with the child, when there is a conflict, who will win? Child class member. Parent class member, child class member. When I say C dot B value, high priority is given to the child class member. So what is the value of child here? Right. Then let me give a slight change in this. Okay. Now next I am calling C dot C value. There is a conflict. So who will be called? Child class member. So whenever there is a conflict, who is going to come? Child class member. Now C dot A value. Do you have any A value in the child? No. Then it goes to parent. Any A value? Yes. So first, when I call with the child, first I will check in the child object. Do I have that variable? If I have that variable, I will call from the child. If I don't have that variable, I will go to the parent and fetch it. First, I will check in the child. If the variable is not there in the child, I will check in the child. If the variable is not there in the child, then I will go to parent and fetch it. Suppose here I wrote a program. A value equal to 200. Then what I do? A value. Do you have A value in the child? There is no A value in the child. Do you have A value in the parent? Yes. What will happen? This value will be modified as. Are you getting my point? Right? Once again, I will create. Try to get the story. Try to understand this. Public. Virtual. Public. Same story, slightly I will modify it. Right. Listen to the context carefully. I created an object, child 1 equal to. Right. When I created an object, first what happened? Memory is allocated. New memory is allocated. First, for whom the memory is allocated? Memory is allocated to parent. Who are the members of the parent we have? We have 3 members. A value equal to A value, B value. Then memory is allocated to child members. Who are the child members? Name, A value. Then constructor is called, which is called first parent class constructor is called A equal to 10. A equal to 10, B equal to 20, C equal to 10. Then parent class constructor is called name equal to D, A equal to 90. Right. Which A? When there is a, when you are calling a parent class A will come. When you are calling a child class. When there is a conflict, who will win? Child will win. So A equal to X equal to super dot A. X equal to super dot A means, now look at this. There is A in the parent, there is A in the child. Whenever I call A, which will come? Child class will come. Whenever I call A, which will come? Child class. When the parent class and child class have the same variable, then the child class will dominate the parent. When I say C dot, when I say 1 dot A value, what is the output we are going to get? 1 dot A value, we always get 90. Because the child will dominate. When the parent class have a variable, child class also have the same variable, what will happen? Child will dominate the parent. Child will dominate the parent. Which will come? Child class will come. Now when I say X value equal to super dot A value means, boss, don't refer to child member, refer to the parent class member. Don't refer to A value of child, refer to A value of parent. Then what is that? Then is good. Are you getting my point? Whenever I say super, refer to the A value of parent class. Refer to the A value of parent class. Refer to the A value of parent class. Then I told C value equal to 333. Now, do you have any C value in the child class? There is no C value in the child class. Then what will happen? Goes to parent class. If the value is replaced with. So, there are 3 points I want to convey in this example. First of all, memory will be allocated to parent class member. Memory will be allocated to child class member. When there is any conflict, child will dominate. When there is any conflict, child will dominate. Okay, that's first point. Second point. First, parent class constructor will be executed, followed by the child class constructor. When you create an object for the child class, then parent class constructor will run, followed by child class constructor. Third point. When there is a conflict, child will dominate. If you want to refer to parent, I have to use a keyword called super. These are the 3 points I want to convey in this discussion. When I create an object for the child, memory will be allocated for parent class member, child class member. When you create an object for the child, memory will be allocated for parent class member, child class member. Second point. When I create an object for the child, first parent class constructor will be executed, followed by child class constructor. When there is a conflict, child will dominate. If you want to refer to the parent, then I have to use super dot parent variable. I hope you got my point. You got my point? So, when I create a object for the child, memory is allocated for all the members of child, all the members of parent. So, parent members are allocated separately, child members are allocated separately. Whenever I call with this object, child will dominate. Right? But still you want to refer to the parent, I need to use super dot. Where should I use that super? Within the child class. While writing the logic in the child class, if I use a keyword called super, it will refer to parent class variables. I hope you got my point. Clear for everyone? Everyone has followed this? Followed, boss?
Yeah, hello Satish.
Yes, sir.
So here we declared that integer A value in both parent class and child class, right?
Yes.
So does it really matter if we don't declare in child class? Because we are extending the parent class, right?
Now the point is, I am explaining what will be coming, what will not be coming. I am not writing logic, any logic here. I want to convey the topic. If the variables are there, it will be allocated. If there is any conflict, it is going to override. That's the purpose of explaining this. Okay. The second one is, parent class can be used independently, right? No, we are not using the parent class only for inheritance. The class was already there. It can be called separately also. Now somebody want to use a parent class separately. Parent P equal to new parent. Then in that case, they will have only A value, B value, C value. It has its own functionality. Now, parent class is not defined for, you didn't define the parent class for inheritance. The parent class was already there and you want similar functionality to be used in your child class, then you extend it. You didn't create a parent class for inheritance. Parent class was already there. As you did the same
I got your point.
If you allow me to.
So my question is, you are extending the parent class, right? So it has the integer A value. So do we need to write again that integer A value in a child class too?
Questions are completed? Right. Let me answer. Don't interrupt me. Now, the point here, again I repeat the point. Child need its own functionalities. Child need its own functionalities. When the child needs its own functionality, I want to give my own naming conventions. Then I want to give my own variables. Now the point here is, when I am taking a variable here, like let us say, there is a variable called integer. Now, what if that integer A value was defined in the parent as a static? There is a variable called A value. What if it is defined as a static? Right. Now look at the point. Now, based on when I want to define my own variable as okay, I am defining my own child class. When I am defining my own child class, I have the choice to define the variable with the same names. I have, okay, let me make it simple. Let me not elaborate the point. When I am defining a class, it is a class. I have a right to define any variable with any name. Right. While I am defining, in case if there is any conflict with the parent class member, child class member will be there. Okay. Generally, you want to cross check everything and define it. Don't define the variable. Now, I don't want to check every variable which was there. Now, my point is, I want to use some of the functionalities which are there in the parent class. I am not interested in the variables of the class. I have two of the functionalities which I want to use. I don't want to, there is 1,000 lines of code. There is 1,000 lines of code. I don't want to pursue entire code. I know that there are two functions which are there in the parent class which I want to use in the child. Then I can define, I can make it simple. I don't want to pursue the parent class. So I am defining my own variables. Are you getting my point here? I am defining my own variables and define. Now you want to be specific. You want to check everything that is there in the parent class. Then observe it and write it. Yes, you can avoid it. Are you getting my point here? Are you getting my point? Now you have a child class. It can have any variable. Now I am defining a variable. I have defined a variable. By mistake, I have created a variable. By mistake, I have created a variable. Okay. Now, okay. Let me show you the correct way. So, because we came a bit point, discussion came a bit earlier. Now, why we are taking the variable? Let me complete the function. I'll come back to the point. Now, the point here is there is a function here. So, this is the problem was if you interrupt in between and ask the questions, we need to jump up the topics. The actual discussion of point of discussion is like this. Now, whose A value is referred now? Whose A value is referred? Whose A value? Is it a parent or child? Parent value. Now, the changes what they are making, I don't want to be reflected in the parent child class. The changes what the functions want to make, I don't want to reflect here. I want the functionality. I want the functionality of show. I want the functionality of the show. I want the value of the C to be reflected, but the value of A should not be reflected. Now it says A value equal to A value plus 10, B value equal to B value plus 10. I want the value of A to be reflected, value of A to be reflected, value of B should not be reflected. I want the value of A to be, changes on A should be reflected, changes on B should not be reflected. Then how will you take it? Are you getting my point? There is a function in the parent class which will have some action. Now in that action, only half the action I want to consume it, remaining action I don't want to consume it. Then how it will be? Okay, that we'll discuss when you are going for invoking a function and accessing the data. Okay, right now at this level I can only give the point. Child class have a choice to define a variable of its choice. Even the parent class has got its member. Child class have its own choice to discuss. The point I'll discuss once I define the functions. Okay, now I'm going to continue the function and give it. Now his question is okay, right? And I'm making the point one more time very clear for online people. Please do not interrupt in the discussion. I told you at the end of the topic, people can ask me. If you're breaking asking this queries in the between, the topics will be jumbled or order will be missed. I have been repeating the same point from the beginning of the day. Allow me to complete the topic, then all the sequence will be covered. Then we can have the points which are not covered as per you. If we jumble it, the order will be missed because I cannot give a complete explanation of the question what you answered because the concerned topics are not covered. So allow me to complete that particular topic. Each and every point will be covered. Don't worry about it. Okay. Now come back. So we came back again. We are somewhere. What was that? Right. Now we have defined members for the parent class, members for the child class. Okay. Now is that was clear? Right. Right. When you create an object. Now when I say C dot, when you say 1 dot A value, what will happen? When you say 1 dot A value, what will happen? When you say 1 dot A value, okay, child will come or parent will come? Child will come. Now when you want to refer to the parent, super dot. Okay. Now come back here. Now let us discuss the point here. Parent class, we had a function here. Now when the variables of the parent class are there, which is giving me a function, public void add. Now we have a child class. Here let us say public integer a value. Now I have taken a class. Now it is not only the data members of the class which will be coming to the child, it is also the functionalities of the parent class which will come to the child. Now whatever the functions we have defined in the parent class, even those functions can be called from the child. It is not only data members of the parent class, it is also the functionalities of the parent class which will be coming here. So in the parent class, what are we saying? Public void add a value equal to a value plus 10, b value equal to b value plus 10. This is a functionality what is going to be called. Now I am calling it object dot. Now I am calling a parent class method. Can a child class call a parent class method? Yes. Any method which is defined as a global or a public or a protected, any variable which is defined as a global or a public or a protected, that can be called within the child class. So object dot add. Then we are trying to invoke system dot debug eval. This is what I did. Execute. When I execute, let us see the output here. What is the value of A? 90. What is the value of B? 30. Now go back to the parent. Now when I go back to the parent, in both the cases I give 90. Okay. In both locations I give 90, so we cannot compare that. Let's print it again. Now What is the A value we are getting? 999. Now already we called a function, right? What is the function I called here? What is the function I called here? Object dot add. When I say object dot add, add is called here. A value equal to A value plus 10, B value equal to B value plus 10. Whose A value is increased? Value of parent class is increased, but not the value of child class. Value of, now when I say add, A equal to A plus 10. If this A value is modified, it is a 999 plus 10. It should come as 1000. Okay, 1000. Okay, it should come as 1009. It should come as 1009. But what is the output we got? 999. So when we made A equal to A plus 10, whose A value is modified? Whose A value is modified? Whose A value is modified? It is a parent class. Now the add function is making some changes on the data. But what I want? I don't want all the changes that are made by the function. I want only certain changes that are made by the function. When you call add, it is making some changes. Boss, I don't want this particular value to be modified by you. I don't want this particular value to be modified by you. You are modifying the value of A, modifying the value of B, but I don't want the value of A to be modified when I call you. That's why I have defined my own variable. When I define my own variable, the value of C is coming as 30. What is the value of C here? The value of C is, what is the value of C here? 30 here. What is the value of C? C is 30. What is the value of C? Okay, let me make it proper structure here. Look at the point. I am giving value of C value equal to 10. Parent class value. Go to the child class value. I'll remove this C. And I'll give the structure here. Let me make it A, B, C. I have taken only A. And I was making this as 1000. Then I was giving here some values. System, okay. Public void call. System dot parent A value. Super dot A value. System dot debug child A value. A value. System dot debug parent B value. B value is not defined as child, just is a B value. Right. Now look at the class clearly. We had A value, B value, C value, A equal to A plus, A equal to 90. A equal to 90, B equal to 10. In the child class, I have taken A one more time. In the child class, there is no B. When there is no B, there is no conflict. So child also will use the same B. But for A, in the parent class we have A, in the child class we have A. Right. Then what I am doing? Go back to this. I am calling object dot add, object dot add, object dot. When I execute, now you will understand. What was that? Parent class A value is 100. So whose A value is modified? Parent class A value. Okay. B value. Now A equal to A plus 10 came, right? Now what is the B value? 20. What is the B value we are getting? 10 plus 10, 20. Now child class A value 1000. So when you are calling a function, that function is making some changes on the data. But I want those changes. But I don't want all the changes that are made by the function on the data. Now when I call the function, it is making the change on A. It is making a change on A, but I don't want those changes to be performed. Whatever the changes that your functions are making on A, I don't want them. I want to define my own changes on the A. In the parent class, I want everything except the changes that are made on the A. In that case, how will you take it? I want every function that is defined in the parent. I want every action that is defined in the parent, but I don't want the changes that are made on the A on the parent. I want rest all the changes, but I don't want the changes that are made on the A. Then what will I do? I will define my own variable in the parent, so that whatever the changes you make, that will affect only parent. When I call C dot A, my values will come. I hope you got my point. It's one of the contexts why I require a different variable in the parent and C. Now you are happy. Whatever the changes that are made on the A, you also want the same type of changes? Yes. No need to define one more variable. We can straight away call it. Are you clear? Are you getting my point here? Are you getting my point? Is that was clear? Is that was clear? Right, Amma? Clear. Okay. Someone who has asked me, am I clear with that question, Amma? Somebody from online, are you clear with that query? Okay. Right. Now, are you clear with the query? Somebody from online. Okay. Right. Chalo. Now, go back to the point next. Get into the next point. So here we had next point. Now, here I want the same action to be performed. We have a method in the parent class. We have method in the parent class. I am giving here public void show. Now, public void show. Listen to the point. I want to display this is a method here called. Now, whenever I call this method call me, it is displaying the value of A, value of B. Now in the parent class, I want to define one more method called call me, which will display the value of parent variable. Now, when I call a method from parent class, it is taking the data of parent class and printing it. Now, look at the context, everyone. Listen carefully. I have A value, I have C value. Now, there is a conflict of interest, right? Now, we have A and C. When you have A and C, we have A and C. A and C. Now, in this case, what we are doing, boss? We have A and C. In this case, what I am doing? If I have a method called show in the parent class, which is printing print A value. I have a method in the child class show Now there is a variable in the parent class A and C. There is a variable in the child class A and C. Now, when you want to define a method in the parent class, in the child class also you want to define one more method with the same name. If already there is a method in the parent class with the name called show, in the child class I cannot create a method called show. Let us see. I am trying to save it. Now what is throwing? Already in the parent class what we have? Call. In the child class what we have? Call. You cannot override. Child class cannot redefine the method with the same name what is defined in the parent class. If you want to override virtual, method should be defined as virtual. Only the method which is defined as a virtual that will be defined. Here we are writing over. Now public override. Save it. Go back and save it again. So if Parent class has a method, child class want to redefine the same method, then you have to override. Parent class method should be virtual, child class method should be override. Now, listen to the point. Now, when you say call me, when there is a conflict, when you have a method in the parent class and child class with the same name, when I call this particular method, this method what this does? This show method what it does? 10. When I call this method, it's 90. Are you getting my point? There is a show method in the parent. There is a show method in the child. Now, the parent method is saying a equal to a plus 10. Child method is saying, okay, a equal to a plus 90. A equal to a plus 90. Are you getting my point? Now, when you call a parent class method, it will refer to the variables in the parent class. When you call a child class method, it will refer to the variables in the child class. When there is a conflict of interest, when the parent class have a variables, the same variables are there in the child class. When you have a method in the parent class, the method in the parent class will refer to the variables of parent class. Method in the child class will refer to the variables of child class. When there is a conflict, parent class method will refer to the parent class variable, child class will refer to the variables of child class. When is that? When there is a conflict, child class will refer to the child class member, parent class will refer to parent class member. When there is no conflict, parent class and child class both are referring to the same member. Now, there is a B value. There is no conflict for the B value. Parent class and child class will use same B value. Are you getting? So, parent variables can be referred by child variables cannot be referred by parent. Child variables can be referred by child can refer to the parent data, but parent cannot refer to child data. Are you getting my point? Once again, I'll try to repeat the points. If you have still query on that, let me know. Look at the point. Let me show diagonal representation. Try to understand this. Public, virtual. Everyone listen. If you have any queries, let me know. This is the parent class. I have a child class here. Then I have define. If you want to redefine, how do you do it? Public override. So if you want to redefine, the parent class method should be virtual, child class method should be override. This is what I got. Now I was creating an object. Employee. Tell me what the memory, how the memory is created. Memory is allocated for parent class and the child class. In the parent class we have this we have. Now I want to take emp dot, I called emp dot, when you say emp dot add me, then when you say emp dot add me, what is happening? Salary equal to 90,000. Whose salary? There is a salary in the parent class, there is a salary in the child class. Now whose salary should be increased? Now whose method are you calling? Parent class method. When you are calling a parent class method, when there is a conflict of variables, now there is a name and salary which is available in the parent, which is available in the child. When there is a conflict in the variables, when you call a method, if you call a parent class method, data of the parent will be modified. Now which is getting modified here? This data is getting modified. Right? This data is getting modified. Here I have one more method. Calculate. If super dot salary is vice versa give 30 and 90,000. If super dot salary is greater than salary, then salary equal to salary plus this is another record. Now when I called emp dot calculate, now what I was doing here? If super dot salary, what is that super dot salary? 90. Greater than salary. Then put salary equal to salary plus 5,000. So 10,000 plus 5,000. Whose salary is impacting? Parent or child? Child. Why it is impacting the child? Why is it impacting the child? Because you called a method from child. Because you called a method from child, it is referring to the data from child. See, in the parent class, in the child class, you have a variable with the same name. When you call a method from parent class, it will change the value of parent class variable. When you have a method from child class, it will change the value from child variable. Okay. Now, when you define a variable in the parent class and child class, why did you define? Because all the changes that parent class actions are performing on this variable, I don't want to consider. Remaining functionality I want, but the changes what you are making on this variable, I don't want to consider. I have a different process for this variable. All the remaining logics are exactly I'm looking for, but the change that you are making on this data, I don't need. I don't need the change what you are making on this data. This data I'm going to define separately as per my requirement. Then I'm going to define the variable once again. Right? Because when you call object dot parent class method, it is referring to the parent class method and changing. If I define the same variable one more time in the chain, the changes will not be reflected. Are you getting? When you have a parent class variable, child class variable with the same name, when you have a parent class variable, child class variable with the same name, whatever the changes that are made by the parent class method will not be reflected on child class variable. So when I don't want the changes that method is making on this data, I will define that variable once again in the child class so that the changes that you made on this variable will not be reflected to the child class. But rest all I want the change what you made on name. I want the change what you made on age. I want the change what you made on name and age, but I don't want the change what you made on salary. There is a reason why we are supposed to define a variable one more time. Right. So if I say parent class, child class object dot parent class method, refer to the data from parent when there is a conflict. There is no conflict, no issue. If child class don't have that variable, no issue. Now, when I say emp dot age, same age will come. Because I don't have any variable, I also want to take the variable what you are using. I also want all the changes what you are making. Then I will not define the variable once again. If I don't want those changes, I will be defining it. When I say object dot child class method, it will refer to the child class data and make the changes. Are you clear about it? This is the difference is coming only when there is a conflict in the variables. I hope you got my point. Got my point, Amma? Right. What is the purpose of super? When there is a conflict between parent class variable, when you have a variable in the parent class and the child class with the same name, when you have a variable in the parent class and the child class with the same name, then child class will dominate. Now I don't want the child class to dominate. I want to refer to the parent. Right? Then I will use super. Okay. When the child class will dominate, if you are trying to call a child class method. If you are trying to call a child class method, child will dominate the parent. Okay. Even though I am using a child class method, but I want to refer to the parent data, then I use super. I hope you got my point. When there is a conflict between two variables which are defined in the parent class and child class, then super will refer to the parent class variable and variable name will refer to the child class variable. Right? Now, if the child want to redefine the method, parent class method should be virtual, child class method should be override. I hope you got my story. Is that was clear? Is that was clear? What was this? Class inheriting the properties of another class. Class inheriting the properties of another class. Now, when a class inherits another class, all the members of the parent class will come to child class except private members. Okay, except private members. Now, next one. When I create an object, what will happen? Parent class construct will be called first, followed by child class construct. Then, when there is a conflict of interest in the method or variable, when there is a okay, conflict of variable. Parent class also have a variable, child class also have the same variable. What will happen? Child class variable will dominate. Okay, when I say child dot method, child class will dominate. If you are calling a method from parent class variables will dominate. Now, from the child you want to refer to the parent class member when there is a conflict, super dot. I hope you are good. People are good. People are good. Any queries?
Hello.
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, maybe I missed the topic. So what if we have the same method in parent and child? So instead of calling the variables, if I call the method,
here we have no virtual void show. We are overriding, right?
So
now look at the point.
Let's pretend there is no virtual and no override.
No. We cannot define a method in the parent class and child class with the same name unless we use a keyword called virtual and override. We cannot define another method in the parent child class without using a keyword called override and virtual. If we are able to write it, why we want the virtual and override? If you are able to straight away write a show method, then what is the use of adding extra keywords there? But my point, we cannot define a method in the child class with the same name what we have in the parent class. With a different number of parameters, yes. With a different number of parameters, yes. But with the same name, same number of parameters, same type of parameters, it is not possible to define. If you want to define, the method should be a virtual and the child class should use a override. Now, somebody is asking me, if you also want to run parent class method, then we can say super dot. Then in that case, what happened? The child is overriding the method of parent. The child is overriding the method of parent, but still it want to run the parent class method, child class method. Then what I say? Super dot show and regular. So in the show, we are calling super dot show. Then what happened? Super dot show means parent class show method will run. Again, I repeat the point. If child class want to redefine a method which is defined in the parent class, it has to use virtual keyword before the parent class method, override keyword before the child class method. First point. Second point. If the child want to run the parent class method, when there is a conflict, child want to run the parent class method, super dot variable or super dot method. Right, Amma? Anyone has any query on that? Everyone has got the concept? Yeah. Everyone has got the concept? Yes, go ahead.
So how can we access the private variable?
You cannot.
If I declare that as a private.
You cannot.
Oh, we cannot.
When you say private, those members are accessed only within the class. Right? Let us say protected is there. When protected is there, you are able to use in the child class, but you cannot call the variable using object dot protected variable. Right? When you say private, it can be used anywhere within the class, but I cannot create an object and call it. Right? So people have got the story.
Yeah, got it. Thank you.
Right? Any other queries? Yes, Amma.
Satish.
1 minute, Amma. 1 minute. Let me answer class question.
Okay.
See, when you create a static variable, now you create an object. You are creating an object, right? When you create an object, what is happening? Memory is allocating for both of them. So let it be a regular class or inheritance class. Memory will be allocated on whose name? Class name only, no? Okay. So here's a question. What we have static variable here? What we have? So memory will be allocated for static variable on what name? Class name. Memory will be allocated for what name? Class name. So how will you refer? Example.xval. Okay. Now with the same name again, if I have here, now this will be referred as what? Employee.xval. Static variables are allocated on the name on the class name. So when you load the class, now there is a parent class called example. Automatically memory will be allocated for the static variables on the class name. What is your class? Example. Example.xval. Okay. Yes, online. Go ahead, Amma. Someone is asking a question.
So Satish, if we use the method with override, it has to be same as the parent method, or can
See,
we increase the parameters?
now the point is, she has a question. So when you're overriding, is it necessary that both should have the same name, or should I increase the parameter? Now look at the point. If you want to define a method, so with a different number of parameter, straight away we can define it because it's not same. Both the methods are not same. There's a show with a 0 parameter, there's a show with 1 parameter. Both of them are not same. It's not called overriding. Overriding means what? Both the methods should have the same name, same number of parameter. If you want to take a different number of parameter, then it's not override, it's an overload. I hope you got my point. In the class, if you have two methods with the same name, with a different number of parameters, it is an overload. It's not called override. Override means what? If two methods are there with the same name, with the same number of parameters, same type of parameters, then it is called override. Now it is override. Then I have to use a keyword called virtual here. I hope you're good with this. Right, Amma? I hope you got my point. With a different parameter, straight away we can define it. There is no conflict. Straight away we can define it. Right. Any other queries?
Satish, one more question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So if we are trying to use the static variable in child, do we have to still use super in front of
Not
class?
necessary. See, that's what. When you say static variable, memory will be allocated on the name of class. That's what I told. When I take x value in the example, and the x value in the employee, now that is a example dot x value, there is a employee dot x value. Both are not same because the memory is not allocated on the name of class. Memory will be allocated on the name of class, not on the name of object. Memory is allocated on the name of class. So what is that? Okay, what is this x value? Employee, okay, example dot x value. This is employee dot x value. I hope you have got. Static variable memory is allocated on the name of class. So it is going to be example dot x value, employee dot x value. I hope you got my point. Yeah. So there's no need of using any concept called super. Why? When you say example dot x value, example x value will come. When you say employee dot x value, employee x value will come. In case if you define x value twice, it is example dot x value, it is employee dot x value. Both are not same. The names itself say, I am employee, you are example. Okay. Yeah.
Satish.
Yes, Amma.
Static variables, if we define in the parent class, shall we use in the by using a child object?
See, exactly. Now again, look at the point. Any variable you define as a static, within the class you want to use it, straight away we can use it. Within the class you want to use it, we can straight away use it. Within the class you want to use it, straight away we can use it. Right. Now I have a static variable here. When I say x value, it is a employee x value will come. If you want example, I hope you got my point. Right? We can refer to that member as example. We can refer to that member as example. Or else, within the class if you are using, you can also use super. If you want to use outside, then there is a difference. Within the class you want to use it, then we can use the super again here. Okay. Outside again, if I want to call here, it is here. There is a difference between example dot x value, employee dot x value. Within this you want to use it, there is an option here, super, or I can use example dot x value. Within you want to use, see boss, you can clearly identify with the class name. No, I don't want to identify with the class name. Okay, if you want to call outside, there is a clear picture, clear variation. When you want to call here, there is a clear variation, no concept of super or local. They have very clear picture, example dot x value, employee dot x value. Now the point is, Yes, somebody has asked me right now. He told, if you want to use this, if you want this x value within the method, when I am using within the method, I don't use class name, right? Straight away I will say x value. Straight away I say x value. Okay, now I'm getting. Suppose there is a parent class x value, child class x value. This is coming when you are trying to use within the class. When you are trying to call outside the class, we have a clear picture, example dot x value and employee dot x value. There is no conflict. Right? Somebody has asked me earlier the super context and class context. Now this question, previous question merged together. This is a solution. Some girl has asked me the question about the super, right? Now here I can also define super dot example or example dot. Both are referring to the same, right? Both are referring to the same. It is a static variable. It is a static variable. I hope any other query? Right, okay.
Yes, Satish.
I have a couple of questions.
Satish, last question.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Amma.
Yeah, Satish. Yeah, my question is, you told that whenever there is a same integer, like same variable in parent and child, obviously the child going to win, right? If we call it.
Yeah, if you call it with the child class method.
And yeah, so in the same scenario, whenever there is a same method in parent and the child, this side also the child going to win.
The point is, child can refer to the data from parent. Parent cannot refer to the data from child. Right. Child can refer to the data from parent. Parent cannot refer to the data from child. Right.
Yeah.
Now A to B is accepted, B to A is not accepted. Now child will dominate when you call with child method. When you call with parent method, parent will dominate. Okay. Right, Amma?
So if I call the method, obviously the child will dominate, right?
Child class method, if you call, child will dominate. Now, child method, child will dominate. The primary point.
Question. So
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.